Carl here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure, and it's Halloween 2024 contact. Taking those nostalgia goggles off, reliving childhood horror. This is the 31 film series that I'm doing for October 2024, where I look at 31 films across 31 days that affected me as a child, and how I feel about them now, and how it turned me into a horror fan, and where I sit these days. Obviously, I've already covered the original Poltergeist movie, and this one I'm going to talk about Poltergeist 2, the other side, because this one is a frustrating rewatch as an adult. However, holds a high bar for the childhood side of things. This film terrified me as a child, to the point that when it came to my wife and I, when we first kind of got together and I was showing her horror movies that I grew up with that she didn't see, I was like, look, I remember saying to her, like, this is a scary one, and it's scary for one reason only, and it is that goddamn character of Kane. It's him. Fucking hell. It still bothers me today. That dude is so creepy. Visually, sonically, how he moves, everything about him is terrifying. However, there's a bigger reason why I think he's scary for me. There are elements of horror that I've always struggled with. I still do to some degree today. There's one I really struggle with that I can open up about. I struggle with body horror, films and stuff, content that regards bodies sort of falling apart via flesh-eating diseases and things like that. I put it this way, I've seen Cabin Fever once, and that was hard to watch. You know, I really struggle with the idea of our human body, being alive and your body rotting away from you. Pretty freaking horrible. But I also really struggle to deal with cults. Cult stuff, and what I mean by that is someone, maybe a cult leader and the people around him, a cult leader who's so enamored but so horrible that he's able to like control people to the point where they kill themselves. And of course this is real world impact as well. Obviously I've got no familiarity outside of reading things, but it is a terrifying thing for me. And in Poltergeist 2 there's a particular scene where you get a flashback and you see how this character and his cult ways and how he was able to lead people to their death is horrifying. That scene, you know the one I'm talking about in Poltergeist 2, where she sees them in that cave and they're crying and begging because they've sealed themselves in there, so they're probably starving to death and dying and stuff like that, and they're reaching out to him because they believed him. Oh my God, that is horrible. And his manic face, because he's like a skeleton, the thin skin stretched over, the teeth pushed forward. That actor was horrifying. He wouldn't reprise his role in the third film, and although the third film has the same character, it doesn't have the same impact as this. This character terrified me as a child. You know, coming to the house, when he comes to the house in the rain and he's trying to act all friendly and trying to warn him and act like he's their friend. What a prick. Oh God, I hated him. I watch it now and I still feel as strongly. I don't quite feel the same level of fear because, of course, I'm less susceptible to that sort of thing. But it does tap into it. It does make me regress slightly, and I see him and I think, God, you're a horrible, horrible human being. Like, you're a human being. It's not a human, horrible ghost, a horrible thing, a horrible entity. And I hate you for the fact that you were also, that's the thing, is also you were the entity from the first film. We just didn't see you, so to speak. We didn't see you in this regard. And like, it also adds his malevolent sort of force, added more weight to this film. It made it feel bigger and grander, but it also added areas that like added levels of scares as well. So, for example, when he possesses Stephen, Craig T. Nelson's character, that's a really horrifying scene, and you get those incredible practical effects that I really appreciate these days. The practical effects. I'm going to get onto the stuff that doesn't hold up as well, and of course some great scenes such as when like you see that like massive ghost sort of surrounding the house. The scene where she gets a phone call. Right, here's a great example of where childhood horror doesn't fit with modern day. So there's obviously a scene. Carol Ann gets a phone call on a toy phone from her grandmother who has passed away. I thought that shit was terrifying as a kid. The idea of a dead person calling up on that phone. Oh my God. Terrifying. Now when I watch it, I think it's sweet. I think it's really, really sweet. Because her grandmother loves her and knows that she can talk to Carol Ann and get through to Carol Ann because of how Carol Ann is and wants to warn her and tell her she loves her. That's nice, man. Like, the disparity between the two is incredible. But I always remember this film as almost being on par, if not better, than the original. As an adult, that is not the case. Not even close. I think it's a very strong film still. But Poltergeist, I actually now believe, is a film series that only should have been one. That the sequels, 2 and 3, doesn't do enough to warrant their existence outside of the horror side of things regarding the preacher Cain. But Poltergeist 2 is also a film where they had to do the bigger, bolder, better thing, and they kind of fucked it up. And a lot of that is lower budgets, not having the money, not having the script, and it's why that latter part of the film and the going to the other side and the horrible effects and the overtly cheesiness of it and the defeating the big monster with the spear, it's all really nonsensical stuff that looks terrible and doesn't hold up. I also don't think the connection to the native Indian thing also holds up. It feels lazy, it feels forced, and it could have been a really cool thing to explore because of like the past and the history of Cain the Preacher and the connection to an earlier time. Could have been really clever, but here it's done really lazily, just to give Stephen the power to defeat the monster, the demon, the entity, the beast, and all of that. This is all really poorly done, and actually I think it slows the film down in a lot of places as well. But does those horrifying moments outweigh the stuff that isn't so good? I think they do. I still think this film is horrifying, purely because of Cain. I cannot believe how much of an effect that character had on me, that I still watch it now, and it still makes me feel uncomfortable. That's Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts on this one? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.